It's very simple. So my question for you, Senator, how do your interpretations of the 10th Amendment shape your policy views and plans as President of the United States?
I think one of the things this country is in desperate need of is a president that explains to the American people, look, every issue before our country does not have a federal government solution. For example, I get asked a lot, what are you going to do about K through 12 education? Our education system isn't very good, and my answer is, trust me, you don't want the federal government running your K through 12 system. You want the states in charge of that. You want the school boards in charge of that. Because if you have a problem, you can go to your school board member and complain. You can go to your state legislator and complain. I promise you, you do not want to have to go to the Department of Education in Washington and complain. So that's an example. The federal government is a very limited government. We need a president who's willing to say, the American people, look, the federal government is not supposed to be involved in everything. There are some issues that don't even have a government solution. The ones that do, most of the government solutions lie at the local and state level, where you can make decisions as a community and you can vote people out and they're closer to you. The federal government's supposed to do a few things and do them well, like keep our country safe. That the federal government must do. And that's why defense spending and defense issues are so important to me. It is a fundamental obligation of the federal government. We can't have 50 separate armies. We have one Army, one Air Force, one Marine Corps, and their job is to protect our country. One Navy, I don't want to leave the Navy out. Coast Guard, National Guard, Air National Guard. My point is that we only have one armed forces in this country. That's a fundamental obligation of the federal government. Yeah, foreign relations and dealing with the neighbors in other countries. That's a fundamental obligation of the federal government. The majority of governmental functions belong at the state and local level. And so that's why I've argued that energy regulations, many of them should be at the state and local level. K through 12 at the state and local level. All sorts of policies belong there because you get better policy. I'm biased, right? I was a state legislator, Speaker of the House in Florida for a couple of years, and I have that to compare to 4 years in the Senate. The state is a lot more responsive and a lot more innovative than the federal government can ever be. So my notion is the federal government is supposed to be the most limited form of government, and I think today we've gotten it backwards in both parties. Not just the Democratic Party, that's seeped into the Republican Party too. We don't have to have a federal response to everything.